don't usually enjoy country romances, like at all. It's just not my vibe. However, Flawless by Elsie Silver is the exception to that rule. You're about to watch me read Elsie Silver's Flawless, part of the Chestnut Springs series. A couple weeks ago, one of my long-term subscribers, Poppy, asked me to look into Elsie Silver books. I asked which one. This is the one. So I'm very excited to be reading this book, and I definitely have high expectations because it was recommended to me, and so that always makes me expect it to be even better than if I was to pick it up in the bookstore. And so I'm pretty excited about it. I'm also a little bit nervous about it because it was recommended. What if I don't like it? And that's like kind of awkward. But aside from that, I think I'm pretty hyped about it because not only is it a Canadian author, it's also like a spicy romance book, which is like my favorite. So from my understanding, Flawless is about our two main characters, Rhett, I think is how you say his name, and Summer. And so he's like a professional bull rider, and he ends up getting into trouble because he gets into this like big public brawl, and his agent's like, okay, we can't have that going on. So the agent's daughter, Summer, is kind of picked to like babysit him to make sure like he doesn't get into public brawls and that his image is intact so he can continue his bull riding career. But obviously things don't go as planned, and he's like, I don't need a babysitter, like especially like a really hot one. But she's more, then he starts to realize like that she's more than just like a pretty face. She has like, she understands him, she has like desires of her own and life like goals, all of this good stuff. And so they're kind of put in like a situationship, I would say, and slowly fall for each other is how I imagine it to go. And I gotta say, I have flipped through a couple of the pages, and let's just say I expect it to be very spicy just from like the random flips that I did through the page. So without further ado, let's read Flawless by Elsie Silver. More than 100 pages into Flawless, and here are my thoughts so far. The tension between these characters, yes. I absolutely love the tension. I love the one bed trope that's happening, like, okay, cute, adorable, amazing. I'm not really a fan of the setting. I don't know what it is about like a country setting, like kind of cowboy-esque vibes. I've just never been into that, so I don't really like the setting that much. But the characters make up for that because they're so just, I cannot wait for them to get together. I am loving like the buildup of this. I love like how they started off kind of like enemies. It's kind of like enemies to lovers, but also like not really at the same time, because the main character, Rhett, he is like this famous bull rider guy, and like he rides bulls. And basically what happened is that he lost a sponsorship because he doesn't like milk. It's as ridiculous as it sounds. And then he also punched like a paparazzi guy in the face who wouldn't leave him alone. And so his reputation is like, and he's starting to lose sponsors because of it. And so his agent ends up kind of sending his daughter to kind of take care of this guy and make sure he like maintains his image. And the daughter is our other main character, Summer, and she's really interesting because she's super smart. She went through law school, she can hold her own, and she's just really knowledgeable in like a bunch of different areas. But she's also like a little insecure at times as well, and a little bit shy, but it's always overshadowed by just how confident she presents herself, which at first the guy thinks that she's just really smug, but it's not the case. And Summer has had like something happen to her when she was like younger that made her live in the hospital for a really long time, and so she has a really interesting story that's starting to unravel. And then Rhett, he comes from like a bigger family, his dad and his brothers, and he has a sister, and they all own this like ranch, and so it's kind of like a whole vibe that they got going on. And he's always puts on this kind of like tough guy persona, but he's actually like a nice soft puppy underneath, and it's really cute. What's really fun about the situation is that Summer ends up living in the ranch with the family. So she's starting to get to know the family. And then when he's going on like the tours to like ride different bulls and stuff, they're in hotels, but her hotel room, the heat stopped working. And so she was always really, really cold. And he's like, we can't have that. And so enter the one bed. And I'm about to like, I just got to the scene where she's like they kind of moved into his room instead, and the cold room, and it's like, one bed. I love one bed. I love one bed so much. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. Elsie Silver is a pretty good writer, so it's really easy to get immersed into this. Again, I don't really like the setting, but I do like the characters and the story that's going on, so that makes up for it. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to read Flawless, and I will update you around the halfway point, so I will see you then. I'm now a little bit more than halfway through Flawless, and those scenes together, flawless. Let's just say there was like a 20-page scene that was very, very well done. I think that it was perfect. Like the build-up between these characters, the tension between these characters, and then the reward the reader gets is like 20 pages, I swear. And it's so well done, and it's so fun, and it's like, yes, and it's like so country. It's so country. Like the country setting, as I've mentioned before, but this book is making it work. It's making it work, you know? It's like, it's good. It's good stuff. I also really like that our characters are really getting to know each other and understand kind of like what they're thinking without them having to say anything, and learning more about Summer's like honestly really tragic backstory. Like there's a lot of bad things that happen to this poor girl, and it makes sense like why she is the way she is, why she's such a people pleaser. And I think that it was really interesting to hear about her career aspirations and all of this. And I love that she has like this great relationship with her dad, because I feel like you don't really see that a lot in different types of like content. And then with Rhett, I love like his family dynamic, and it makes sense because there's like, you have like the usual kind of fights you have with like your siblings and stuff, but then they go out and do something ridiculous and silly together, and it's very realistic. And again, it takes place in Canada. It takes place in Calgary, which I've never been to, but I mean, it's still Canadian representation, which I am definitely a big fan of. So I'm excited to see where Flawless is going to continue to go, how the story is going to wrap itself up. What is it going to be like? I feel like this is the type of book that's going to have a really, really nice epilogue. The vibes feel like that. And yeah, so I'm going to continue to read Flawless, and I will update you either like a little bit towards the end or when I finish the book. So I will see you in my next update. Last night I finished Flawless by Elsie Silver, and yeah, even though it had like that country cowboy vibe that I'm really not a fan of, I actually really did enjoy this book. I think that it was really well written. I really liked the characters. Rhett and Summer are just like, the tension, the chemistry, everything about it was so well done, and I loved that so much. I also really loved each of their backstories, especially Summer. Like, I think that Summer is a really great character. I think she's a really strong female lead, which I always love to see. And I really love that you see kind of issues that she has and some of the stuff that happened to her when she was younger, how it's molded her to be the person today, and then how not only are Rhett and her dad pushing her to grow and become an even better person, but her best friend does as well. And so she's the kind of character who she needs a little bit of that push, and then when she feels a bit challenged, she's like, oh yeah, and she kind of like takes over. And I really relate to that as well. And so I think that's one of the reasons I liked her character a lot, because you can kind of start to become comfortable in certain areas, but then someone challenges you and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna knock this out of the park. And that's what Summer's like. The spicy scenes in this book were definitely worth the wait. Definitely worth the wait. They were also like, I'll be creative at times as well. Let's just say there was whipped cream involved for like the first spicy scene, which is like the first spicy scene. And I really liked Rhett's character development as well, and how sometimes he has like the little like the blinders on, and he doesn't realize that his actions are affecting other people, not just himself. And I really love just the whole family dynamic. Even though there is some tension among siblings, I do really like when they get together, and it just feels really real, and the whole thing felt really real. It had that nice like rustic kind of like old-timey vibe as well, which was really fun. And of course it took place in Calgary, so we love that Canadian representation on this channel. Now I won't go into how I feel ethically about bull riding, but it was interesting that that was the setting of it, and that that's the character's kind of like whole spiel that he's got going on. So that was different, and I always do like different, but it's not my favorite thing to read about. Like I'm just not a fan of like the cowboy vibe, unfortunately. But I think that despite all that, I did still enjoy this book. So I will be awarding Flawless a total of 4 stars. I think that, like I mentioned, it was really well done. I was on the edge of my seat. It was more than just like a cute country romance. There was a lot more going on. There was a lot of really good relationships and characters, and just how everything all connected. The whole story about her sister and her sister's husband, like all of that stuff I thought was really, really fascinating, and the characters were so real and raw, and the writing was really good. So yeah, I enjoyed this book. So thank you, Poppy, for recommending that I read Flawless. I will definitely be reading the next one in this series at some point as well, because it follows along like the whole family. So each family member gets their own book, kind of like how Bridgerton does. So yeah, I definitely want to pick up the next one. Unfortunately, I don't have the second book with me at the moment, but what I do have and what I'll be reading next is Shadows of Fire by Brenda K. Davies. And I'm excited about this book because my colleague had recommended it. There's 11 books in the series, and she devoured them like in probably a week or so. Like she would message me like random updates, and it's like, I read this one, oh this one, because they're not like big books. She did warn me that there are typos, at least in the first book, but that they're really action-packed. There's vampires, there's fae, there's magic. There's all that really good romantic-y kind of stuff that I dig. So yeah, that's what I'll be reading next. So if you're interested in watching me read Shadows of Fire, the next book in the Chestnut Springs series, some Brandon Sanderson, some Emily Henry, which I'm definitely going to be picking up another book of hers probably pretty soon, and on many other great authors. Definitely hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. If you're happy that I'm finally wearing a different sweater that you haven't seen yet on this channel, definitely hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!